Part 2. Setting up a single well model and entering the geologic data. When Merlin first opens, it will always open the last file you are working on, here a study named Large Mod. We want to build a brand new file, so we'll go to File, New, specify a file name, and here we'll specify the name Single Well, or SNGWELL. Then we set up the grid for our model, and we will set a 9 by 9 grid aerially with 7 layers. We then specify the type of model we're going to build. If it were a general model or a full field model, we would choose this selection. But Merlin can set up a number of standard patterns, including 5-spot, 9-spot, radial, or single well model. We're going to build the single well model. Merlin will then ask for the acreage in our model, and we'll specify 160 acres for this study. Notice that Merlin will then set the size of the model and the size of each grid cell according to the number of grid cells we specified on the main panel. This is if we're building a full well model. But when we're building pattern models, we could build a half or a quarter of the pattern model. If we specified half of the pattern, then our pattern would still be 160 acres, but the model area would be only 80 acres, or a quarter of the pattern, our model area would be only 40 acres, and Merlin would adjust the size of the grid cells accordingly. We're going to build a full well model. We will now enter the rest of our data, and our data may be divided into 2 classes: initial data describing the initial state of the reservoir, and recurrent data describing how we're going to perturb the reservoir or produce it out into the future. Under initial data, we would enter our grid data or geologic data, pressure and saturation distribution data, fluid properties, PVT data, and relative perm data. You may enter this data in any order you want to, but it's usually wise to enter it sequentially so that you don't miss some of the data. Let's start with the geologic data.